BPX TV Réseau, chaîne 18.6 digitale. L'espoir de la culture haïtienne.
Salut chers téléspectateurs, c'est un plaisir pour moi d'être avec vous depuis le Jean-Just Community Center. Et de capable de dire avec tous les amis, avec toute famille, qui peuvent gagner la possibilité ça pour nous entendre, pour nous vivre de moments ça qui peut passer là. Qui s'allie, nous connaissons que déjà gagner un changement qu'a fait dans métro Dade et pour ça faire que boss dans la cour et Miami Beach, tout Dade County définitivement. Mais nous pas gagner en pile possibilités parce que le fait qu'on ait que nous pas gagner meilleur autobus et dans la transportation, il y a une pile de discussions qui sont pour faire là. Côté depuis dans le circuit, bien bonheur, il y a un pile de gens qui parlent, il y a des gens qui sont contents, il y a des gens qui ne sont pas contents. Pour changement, ça a fait dans Dade County. BPX TV Réseau, qui c'est l'espoir de la culture haïtienne, à l'avant-garde de tous, à travers la communauté et le monde entier. C'est normal pour nous présenter ensemble avec nous, pour nous faire nous connaître que tout ça qui a passé dans l'activité, c'est là. Étant PDG BPX TV Réseau, je suis obligé de faire des déplacements personnellement parce que des invitations qui sont faites par un bureau magistral Livin Kava et encore, nous avons Dade County qui invite nous, nous avons encore le commissionnaire Marlène Bastien, bureau office commissionnaire Marlène Bastien invite nous. 3 invitations spéciales faites pour l'activité ici là, nous ne sommes pas capables de présenter là-dedans ensemble avec nous. Nous avons remarqué tout dans notre Miami Beach, il y a une discussion qui est pour faire parce que grand pile l'autre monde dans notre Miami Beach qui a plein tout. Tout le monde a plein pour même bagarre là que changement pas bon pour eux, changement pas bon pour eux. Et bien c'est sur notre ça nous parlons pour un petit moment avec nous là de communication avec tout le staff qui contribue pour faire changement de boss et qui commence par les débuts dehors. Et bien nous parlons connaître tout ça qu'a dit. Restez marché avec votre serviteur sur une belle forme et pour BPX TV Réseau. Channel 18.6 digitalement vôtre depuis la Miami, Florida. Enjoy.
Are you ready? Come and celebrate OMD's second annual gala with one of our favorite bands, T-Vice. We are excited and can't wait to give you a taste of Winter Wonderland. Join us at Premier Banquet Hall, 8300 Southwest 8th Street, Suite 208. Doors open at 9 p.m. For more information, visit owningmydestiny.com. And for VIP tickets, call 305-546-9679 or 786-424-9417. We can't wait to see you. Remember, this is going to be a magical and memorable evening. See you Saturday, December 9 at Premier Banquet Hall, hosted by Owning My Destiny. Happy holidays!
Réseau meilleur autobus transport public Miami Dade la entrée vitesse supérieure. Effort communautaire ça a créé meilleur accès à une meilleure expérience passagère avec un service qui plus fiable côté monde passer moins temps à prendre autobus. Nouveau réseau a apporté plus trajet qui plus régulier et plus rapide dans plus zones dans comté. Ça vient augmenter accès transport public à travail, éducation, soins santé et qualité la vie. Pour informer plus sur nouveau route et nouveau connexion visitez miamidade.gov/betterboss.
Depuis presque un quart de siècle, BPX TV Réseau à Radio Compa toujours fait que tout le monde content en Haïti. Mais sans communauté avec l'autre state en voisinant, nous pas qu'à réaliser. Timoun c'est la vie, Timoun c'est l'espoir. Nous pas qu'à quitter comme ça. On fait canal la couler plus frais pour Timoun dans la Kouanamet avec Timoun dans quartier Morin à Nessila. Tibouchon, soit pensé de ça.
Par contre pour l'autre quartier dans la région nord pour fête Noël Anissa, c'est tout quartier Morin qui mobilisé pour accueillir Aubry Blague en Père Noël. Père Aubry a cette l'émission pour porter jouet à cadeau pour grand monde côté monde dans tout coin reculé pays d'Haïti chaque fin décembre. C'est pour me dire nous Christmas Anissa après les deux compères Aubry Blague et Belle en forme dans la cour quartier Morin pour une grande distribution massive de jouets et de cadeaux.
Nous allons faire canal la couler frais dans que tout petit monde dans la cour Rouanamet. On a besoin de un tizel et un cachap dans 2 numéros ça yo. Sony Belle en forme 786 642 35 35 Aubry Blague 786 285 36 57. C'est son race Airways qui sponsor nous aller-retour à Nessa. Depuis qu'on y a dit tout le monde, joyeux Noël, bonne et heureuse année.
Well, priez pour Noël. Joyeux Noël.
DPX TV, c'est la vie. DPX TV, c'est nous-mêmes. DPX TV, on met des têtes ensemble dans Kembil.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate everybody coming out. I'm Sean Adams. I'm the Deputy Director and Chief of Transit Operations for DTPW. And on behalf of Mayor Daniela Levine Cava and the 3 million residents, I want to welcome you to our Metrobus Network information session here at Father Gene Center in the beautiful facility we have here tonight. So this evening we're going to take some time to dive a little deeper into sort of the changes and some of the changes we made and why we made some of the changes, and also give you an opportunity to ask questions and engage with DTPW staff about the changes, but more importantly, to get feedback from you. I want to make sure that you understand that this version of Metrobus Network is 1.0. It is launched it, and we're into it, and our idea is to continue to take feedback and continue to make the network as best it can be for everyone. But before I get too deep into it, I want to talk a little bit about some of the benefits that have happened so far as part of this network change. One, since we started back on November 13th, we've more than doubled the number of residents near 15-minute or better service during the weekdays. So we went from 380,000 people up to 8.
Time to go through the specific areas with North Miami Beach and North Miami. We know that there are some very serious concerns in this area, and we do want to address them. So that's why we're here tonight. So as Sean mentioned, we're really here to get feedback from you. This is just the beginning of the process. We are listening to you, and we are going to be making changes as we go forward. So it's all about listening to you tonight so that we can make informed decisions going forward. But with that, I just want to mention the team, as Sean mentioned. So we've got the Mayor's Office representing it tonight. We've been working very closely with them on the community engagement piece of this. So what is the network? It's actually out on the street today, and 9 a.m. will get you here. But it is the most significant redesign in the history of the county. So this was from 1986, when we had Metrorail for the first time, and today. Obviously Miami's changed an awful lot since then. Our population has more than doubled, and our bus network hasn't really changed much in terms of structure. So clearly there are some things that we need to address in terms of where there are areas of growth, and look at really providing a service that works to get there. So creating this kind of grid network that you'll see on the map. Number one. Number two, more frequent service. This is really the key principle. You'll see on our maps later, the previous network didn't have a lot of frequent service. What do I mean by frequent service? Service that comes every 15 minutes or less. So you don't have to think about scheduling your day. You can just go outside and just wait for the bus a very short period of time, because it's going to be there very quickly. So, as Sean mentioned, in the old network, we only had 5 lines that came frequently throughout the day, 15 minutes or less throughout the day. Today, we have 19 lines that come frequently across the county. Number 3, better transfer. So with this frequent service, all these 19 routes, you're going to wait a much shorter time to transfer to that next bus than you would previously, right? If you're going from a half-hour route to another half-an-hour route, that's potentially a long transfer. 15 minutes to 15 minutes, it's a much shorter time you're going to be waiting on the street. And then finally, a more consistent service. So we were very heavily invested in our weekday service. We didn't have as much service on the weekends. Today, we made a huge investment.
The Cat Restaurant and Lounge, c'est un restaurant de classe dans North Miami qui servait cuisine internationale. Lido du mangeons plat haïtien, The Cat's gagne. Ouvre le lamb chop, steak, chicken wings, pasta, fruits de mer ou n'importe quel plat international, The Cat's observe vous pareil. Finalement, nous qu'a dit, moun North Miami gagne un restaurant pour yo battre l'estomac yo. Dans The Cat's Restaurant, nous voulons pour l'or invitons étrangers viennent pour un verre pour socialiser ou bien un rendez-vous d'affaires pour qu'elle pas sauter parce que service là impeccable, plat au succulent et puis décor là agréable. The Cat's Restaurant and Lounge ouvert ouvert pour catering pour toute occasion, anniversaire, mariage, funérailles, etc. The Cats Restaurant ouvert pour lunch et dîner de 11h du matin à 11h du soir et le week-end jusqu'à 4h du matin. Ou vous voulez regarder des matchs qui bien importants et nous déguster en bonne compagnie, The Cats Restaurant a nous. Visitez thecatsmiami.com pour qu'à compte qui activité qu'a bien en week-end pour qu'à ouais menu ou bien pour qu'à faire réservation. The Cats Restaurant and Lounge, 738 Northeast 125 Street, North Miami. Téléphone 305 392 1982 ou 786 314 30 30. Les amis, South Florida en pimpant, sapin en vente dans tous les coins de la ville. En pile, quand il décoré, c'est Noël là qui arrive. Une plus grosse tradition nous pendant Noël là, nous-mêmes haïtiens, c'est réveillon. C'est pour ça, tout tropique colle les épaules avec Explosion 1580 AM pour offrir nous un réveillon exceptionnel dans Ramada Inn le samedi 23 décembre. À l'affiche, Lionel Benjamin, Emeline Michel, Asso Sibed, MC Gessler Bézidor. Dans la soirée, ça, on a un bon Jean bouillon tête cabrit. Ah ouais, pas de réveillon sans bouillon tête cabrit, mes amis. Samedi 23 décembre, venez célébrer la Noël en grande pompe à Ramada Hotel, 19201 Collins Avenue. Performing live on stage, Lionel Benjamin, Emeline Michel, Asso Sibed, Gessler Mésidor. Admission $80. Infoline 305 303 88 85 ou 954 478 12 66. Réveillon patronné par Kola Choukoun, Total Stock Realty, Paradise Funeral Home, Bless Medical Center, Radio Mega, WSRF, WLQY, Joint Solution Chiropractic et Sunrise Away.
This is what you've been looking for. Ebenezer Choir from Abundant Life Church of God presents the second annual banquet on December 2nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. It is only $100 per adult, $180 per couple, and our beloved kids only $50. Come celebrate with us at the following address: 13230 Northwest 7th Ave, North Miami, Florida 33168, Mount des Oliviers.
Pour contact et réservation, 305 467 1459 786 312 74 11.
C'est moi, Roberto T-Vice, PPX TV Reseau, et Lilier, oui, papa, pas un autre. Bow.
It has been increased from the 20 minutes midday to a 15-minute all-day service on 7th Avenue. And so to get to a little bit further to the east, you can see that there on the left map we have the Route 2, we have the Route 9, we have the Route 10, we have the Route 19, we have the Route 16. So this has been the biggest restructuring of the area of mention. So the Route 9 is really picking up a lot of and combining the services on multiple different routes and creating a more streamlined, efficient service on a single route through the area. So the Route 9 has been merged essentially north-south with the Route 10, and the frequency has been improved to 10 minutes peak. So during the AM and the PM peaks, you're going to have a bus coming by every 10 minutes, and that's going to be south of 125th Street. And where you see the branches, that's a bus every 20 minutes.
To document your questions, your concerns, and we can go from there. Question? Okay, we're going to go straight to the tables, and we're going to have a staff member in each of those tables, so we can go from there. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. No, I'm going to give you my. Sorry.
We're going to go around each table and answer all your questions.
Have any lines been reinstated as they were in the past? Have any lines been reinstated?
Since November 13th. So the new network was implemented. So nothing has changed since November 13th in terms of the new network.
I think that we should be able to speak to the whole room, because by just going and say, we're going to the tables, you're muting what we, some of the problems.
You also have a question to the last.
That's about, yeah. First off, Am I not loud enough? But I think I'm loud enough. You sold the 10 and 15 minute things. I have a large map, and the only 10-minute lines are one across Flagler, that's the number 11, and the 100, which goes up Collins. Those are the only 10-minute lines. So it's kind of like you're selling that. And the same with the 15. My main buses were 9, 10, and 16. 10 and 16 are gone. And the old schedules had each of those every 30 minutes. And the 9 was every 12 minutes in rush hour, because I've got a recent schedule before the change. It's now only the 9, supposedly every 15 minutes below 125th Street, but it's every 30 minutes above 125th Street. And much less on weekends, maybe 40 to 60 minutes, and that's according to your, what you printed out. But sometimes it's actually more. I was at 163rd Street. We waited 40 minutes in the week, in the middle of the day for a 9. It was so crowded it took twice as long. By the time I got off at 114th Street, it was going south. There was that was the 9A actually. There was a 9 behind. So like, we waited 40 minutes and now there were 2 of them together. The 9, plane 9, which goes a slightly new route, would be nice, but it seems to seldom come. I've hardly ever been able to get it. Let's see. The Metro Connect service zones, you touted those, but those are way out of most of our neighborhoods. So to get there. And as I said, my main complaint personally is the lack of the 16th, but there are a lot of other complaints. I can't get to my grocery store and pharmacy now. And the other day I went the first week, and I thought, well, maybe I'll try to walk home 25 blocks. After 3 blocks, I put out my thumb. Now, an 80-year-old shouldn't have to hitchhike because they've taken away the bus lines. So.
Hold on, let's address one at a time. We'll get to you in a second.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. No, we appreciate it.
Yeah, just
one compliment. The bus drivers. They've had to put up, a lot of riders complain because they think it's their fault. It's not that most of the bus drivers, except for the few crankies, are really, they're doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
So, yeah, I think maybe what we should do, because obviously I can see some nodding heads and clicking fingers about the Route 60. So maybe we can kind of talk about what the alternatives are in that area. I know the lady has a very specific area where she lives, but we've spoken before many times. But what I'm going to look at is, here we are. No, you can't see. Okay, but this is a map showing the municipal service. There's also some maps up in the end of the room there that you can see more closely. And this is what I was mentioning, where we're going to be working very closely with North Miami Beach, and I know that there's some staff here who I've been talking to, working with. There is a lot of municipal service out in both these cities. There's also the freebies that you can see in the red and the yellow there. And we're going to be working closely with them to essentially close those gaps. So where the 16 used to go, where the 16 used to go, where the 10 used to go, we can work on enlarging those freebie areas to cover those areas, and that will provide that service that you used to have. And you can connect then to the fixed route that is the 15-minute service that we've been talking about. So,
and to get there, because I know a lot of them have been facing the changes, or if it's like, hey, have you gone to this particular bus stop? Because a lot of people are in those areas and having questions. Did we do it right? And again, overall, the reason why we're here today is because the answer was yes. Now, is that true for every single rider in our system? No. And again, that's why I just continue to say that this is BDN 1.0, and that we're going to keep going and keep moving to try to every single time to get a little bit more perfect.
Thank you very much, Kathy. We're going to come right back to you. We have a gentleman ready for a question. We'll come back to you. I promise.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's done now. So now I have to walk 20 to 25 minutes. Like that's 1 mile. I have to walk 1 mile, that's 1 mile. And when I was downtown, I have to take a train to get me there. Now it's done, so I have now to take 2 buses to get me there. So I can walk. I know, but some people like the 80-year-old, some people who are disabilities, they can walk like I could. But these people, they are paying a high price. My problem is that the people who did this thing, I wonder if they were thinking why they do. I'm not going to say that nobody on your team why you vote. I'm not going to say that some people do. Most of you guys are you worried? Most of you are not. But that's the problem. I'm worried. I do this every day to work, every day where I want to go. Now I can do much less because now I can do this. So some people they can do that. They can do it every day. So I can do much less now. When I take the bus, I see less people on it. So people are saying, no, the bus is free now, and some people don't take it. It's a problem. It's free, but people are not taking it. It's crazy. So when something is free, you think that people will take more. That's not happening. It's not happening. People are not taking that something that is free. That can be a problem. It's free or it's worse.
It would be a problem if it was true. But our ridership has actually increased across the entire network. So I don't know what specific route you're talking on. And we can look at your specific area. But again, everyone has a different journey, right? Everyone across the county has a different trip. And that's why I want to talk to you individually to understand your journey and how we can help provide a solution.
We'll come back. Promise. Let's go to the other young lady here in the white.
They just said, Haiti said, the walk in the water doesn't know what the walk in the sun is going through. That's you guys, who take those decisions. You have a car, you have no problem, you just decide. But you don't know what we're going through. I have the same problem with the lady. I live in Washington Park, on 16th Avenue, and 154th Street. I used to take the 16 to go downtown or to go to Walmart. Take the 19 to go to my job or to go to Walmart. Right now, you take off both of them. With my walker, you don't even have the courtesy to put a stop sign, even by the cemetery. You put it way on 147th Street. That means when I came from my job with the 125th, I have to get off with the walker at 147 to go to 153rd. When I'm going to work, the same thing. But now to go for my grocery, the last time I came to a meeting, you said that's only 4 blocks to go to 12th Avenue. But did you ever, you guys, went from 16th Avenue to 12th Avenue to see how long it is? It would take people who's in good health a good 20 minutes. For me, that means I don't know how long it will take. But I think you should at least, leave one of them, the 16 or the 19. Because, especially the 16. Because when you take, you said you put 135th, 135th came from 135th, just Avenue to turn by the cemetery at 151st Street. And go look, there is no bus stop there. That means I don't even have to take the 135th, I have to walk to Biscayne because there is no bus stop. But you know, I think you really hurt us a lot. With the 10, the 19, and the 16.
Thank you. That's why we're here tonight. We're taking a lot of notes. There is room for improvement. We're listening. So we really appreciate your feedback. Let's go to this young lady here.
Hi. Yeah, one of the things that I live on 125th, and one of the things as I was watching it kind of unfolding, I just kept thinking about people who have mobility issues. Between 135th and 119th Street, there's no bus. And so my son is 18, and so at 5:30 in the morning in the pitch black, he has to walk from 125th Street to 119th Street so that he can catch the bus. And usually I would try to take him, but I have to get my youngest son ready for him to go to work. For him to go to school. And so it's a difficult situation. You know, I had to drive a pregnant woman to 119th Street because there was no way for her to get from 125th to 119th. Quite a few people that I walk outside and I tell them there's no more bus, and they're like, well, I have to go back home. I have to call in sick to work because they can't get to where they're going because of mobility issues. Same thing with, and I hear you. I had the gentleman say that there was only one discontinued route, but the way it's counted sounds like there's only one discontinued route, but there's no G-bus, there's no route from at least 17th Avenue all the way to 6th Avenue. So this long stretch of road, there's no bus. I work on Northeast 12th Avenue, and so a lot of the parents, we've had this huge, I'm a teacher, so there's this huge influx of children coming to school late. Not because they want to, but they used to take the 10. And so the 10's not there anymore. Even though it says it's not a discontinued route, but the 10's not there anymore. They can't get to school. They're younger than can walk that long distance. So I think that a lot of times on paper it looks really good, right? We consolidate these things. These buses are running, or seemingly running faster, but because there's less, buses in between. My son had to come back home the other day. It was almost 8 o'clock, and he was like, Mom, I need you to take me to school because 4 buses were full because there's no bus in between that long stretch of road. So I think that it's one of the things that we really need to think of. People who have mobility issues, people who are, just in the dark trying to get somewhere. And I understand you're saying the trolleys and freebie. There's only 4 at the moment. It takes a really long time. I tried it with my son and trying to get it that's not an option. So I think that some of those things we need to look at. Those main arteries coming back into, I don't know, North Miami Beach as well, but back into North Miami, especially as a city that's really vibrant. You're trying to get into downtown Miami and get into the things that are happening down there, and it's not really possible. It's really difficult for children to get to school, colleges, and just people to get around. Although it sounds really good that you've consolidated these routes, but in actuality, I think that's one of the things that should have been done, that you should have had testers kind of testing those routes and seeing if someone lives on 127 and has to get through 119, how does that look? What does that look like? What are the routes? What is going on at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, when people have to get there, and it's kind of dicey to try and get people there. And so that's one of the things I think that you guys really need to look at, trying to get, people, especially with mobility issues, trying to get them where they need to go.
Comment est là? Soit fait là. Ah, mais ben, où est la pluie qui te met chez soi? Toute la vie, elle va s'en remettre.
C'est un monde qui m'a numéro extension pour y aller dire comme ça. Yo ka hindem là pour y aller m'a prendre boss pour moi.
Oh, extension ajusteur.
Oui, oui.
C'est là li. Quand moi te prendre du feu. C'est yo qui aide à ce matin fa. Ouais, chèque ça. Li nous dans mon point 50 sur moi même. Pas mettre dans l'extension. Marguerite, où il vient l'extension?
Oh, c'est là.
Oui. Pas tout d'accord, c'est marqué pour vous.
Comment il marque? Ça passe, ça.
Ah, bah yo, pas mal rapide.
Comment ça mouille comme ça?
Ah, Marguerite trempé sur ton canard.
Quand on a nous dans quatre là, il dit comme ça, depuis une extension.
Oui, bon tout papier, on m'a dit.
Oui, mais
la plateforme. Exactement. Assurance, on m'a pas eu tout bagage. On a pris tout stress là.
On t'a oui.
On a pris toute bataille là. Et les nous avons famille qui ont un problème ou nos amis, vous avez la même adresse à 550 Notice, 124e Suite, 9 Miami, Florida 3361. Et pas oublier, au téléphone là, 786 667 0767.
Non exception, service à garantie.
Tradition pap camper année ça, n'a pas faire encore. Jusqu'à samedi 23 décembre dans Ariel Music School, bagay yo pral pi belle pour un concert traditionnel. 123,99 West Dixie Highway, dans l'autre Miami, Florida.
C'est pour la première fois, un concert, un événement comme ça pral passer dans Miami.
Si moun kou grand moun pral performer sur même scène.
Une ambiance musicale et théâtrale avec participation aux affaires par nous de Marguerite.
Timoun gratis, grand moun $20.
Pour information, composez 786 357 0014.
Ariel Music School a profité de nous toutes. Joyeux Noël, bonne et heureuse année 2024.
Pas oublier, habillez-nous bien bozo parce qu'en pile photo pour le fête jou ça.
Kou maman, concert ça a fait dans 123,99 West Dixie Highway, dans notre Miami, Florida. Dans l'école là. Vin enjoy.
This Christmas Eve, it is clear. Touchemdous will be shutting the city down. That Christmas Eve extravaganza with a grand performance live. Flying High returns to South Florida for the Christmas Eve extravaganza.
December 24, la transition continue. Vibe, Radio Touchemdous, let's go.
Flying also. Class.
Fanatic Class Extravaganza, 24 décembre, lundi,
Sunday night, December 24th, Christmas Eve, inside the Germac event venue, 4860 Griffin Road, JV. The music by DJ Paz, AJ305, and DJ NR. Doors open at 10 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at eventbrite.com. Sponsored by Touchemdous Music Store and Florida Cellular. For info, call 305-901-7700 or 786-277-1093. Sunday, December 24th at the Germac event venue.
BPX TV Réseau, chaîne 18.6 digitale. L'espoir de la culture haïtienne.
Définitivement, comme on t'a annoncé nous depuis à l'avance, c'était une pile discussion que tu as faite depuis avant. Eh bien, nous retrouvons qu'en pile discussion a fait dans cette scène-là, pendant qu'on petit break là, pour profiter de faire nous connaître que il y a des gens qui sont mécontents, peut-être changement qui fait étrangers comme haïtiens, et il y a un pile d'autres amis qui involvent dans l'activité qui fait des déclarations très dures avec staff de l'organisation changer bossio, changer route. Nous comprenons que dans la communauté pas qui ça a marché, qui ça gagne. Meilleur service autobus que Miami Dade a porté pour nous, et nous sommes capables de dire Dade County lui-même personnellement, confiez-nous, là-bas nous meilleurs là, mais quand même, il y a plein de gens qui ne sont pas contents dans le meilleur service que Dade County a porté pour nous. Pour quelle raison? C'est parce que route qui change pas bon pour eux, il y a des gens qui lèvent très tôt pour aller travailler, pour changer de zone, il y a d'autres gens encore qui fâchés, qui ne sont pas contents du fait que côté de besoin de ce n'est pas ça, oui, il y a plus de changements qui fait dans Dade là, il y a plus d'explications que nous allons prendre là. Restez branchés toujours, pour minute par minute, nous allons connaître ce qui a passé. Thème qui est dans la staff Miami Dade là, qui a expliqué avec un peu d'autres questions qu'on a posées encore. Restez branchés, Sony Bellafont pour tous les camarades. Studio, get back to you. Enjoy.
With the cities to figure out exactly what we can do to fix this obvious problem. So we are working with you and we will continue to work with you.
Just to add that the elimination of those 3 routes, the 10, 16, and 19, have placed a lot of pressure pressure on that 163rd wall. And where there used to be 10 buses serving 163rd, there are now 4. That's what people are saying. I don't ride buses, but that's what our, I'm with the Haitian Neighborhood Center, and that's the feedback. That has become even more chaotic than before because there is less frequency of the number 9. So that the elimination, while, streamlining sounds good, but it's put a lot of pressure in terms of numbers on the people riding. And as someone says, the buses are crowded, and it takes a long time. It has not panned out well in terms of flow of people. And again, I just want to reiterate the fact that, maybe your planning was based on data, on looking at connecting people to job sites, low-income communities to job sites, et cetera, and I don't know how to quantify this sort of rapid success of connecting people to their job destinations or to new job destinations. But I think that what is truly lacking is the human side of it, that you have not scoured your neighborhoods to understand what exactly the impact of this elimination is, which is, planners should also think about the human side of it, the impact of their decisions. These are major decisions that cannot be undone in 2 minutes. As you're saying, these folks are going to have to wait, 3 months to get a new route. That's a lot of time. And thank God this is now, the weather is a little more, climate. But if that happened in August, in July, you could have some lives, people's lives would be at stake if they have to walk in extreme heat under those conditions. So, I would hope that in the future, when you're making such incredibly impactful decisions that community meetings do not bring people out. Community, that model of we've had 130 community meetings, that's not working. And you need to understand that there's a new paradigm in our communities, that the old-fashioned community meeting where you supposedly meet the community, that ain't happening. You need to meet people where they're at, and you need to hear to people, because it's sort of very easy to say, well, we had 136 meetings, we had one at the Little Haiti Community Center, at Miami Gardens, whatever, but that's not where you meet people. You will not get the feedback that you're getting based on these meetings where 5 people show up. I mean, this is not your transportation meeting, but 5 people show up, and that's it. And so, this is not just building something, this is not improving a park, this is something that profoundly affects people's lives. So, I know you're hearing a lot, but I really think that the strategy and the assumptions that are made about engaging communities need to change.
I appreciate that. We're here tonight as well to learn from you, and I think that was really well said, that we will be coming out to the community and working with you to understand how best we can communicate. Because you're right, we did do all these workshops a couple of years ago. We did reach out to the community in these specific ways, and here we are, and it hasn't worked out as we had hoped. So we want to work with you to figure out how best to get that community feedback, because clearly it didn't work well last time.
Thank you for being here. We're talking about not Miami Beach, but we do not have only not Miami Beach that is affected by this change. We, the people of Biscayne Gardens, the unincorporated Dade, what do we have to do to get service? We don't have anything. And then I regretted that I left Brooklyn, New York, Crown Heights for justification and come right here in Miami, in Biscayne Gardens, where I lived for the past 35 years, but I feel like you just want to push me out. And one thing I'm going to tell you, I've been living in my property since 1988. I don't care what you think you're going to do. I am not going to discourage when it's raining, when I have to take bus 16 or 19 or whatever. It's like I'm living in the ocean. I cannot go north. I cannot go east. And you're telling me I have to take bus 16A. I would like to invite you when it's raining, and we have a rainy day, in Biscayne Garden, Golden Glades, or the incorporated area. I invite you to come and show me and to cross over to take bus 16A. And enough is enough, but one thing I'm going to tell you, I don't care what you do, I am going anywhere, I am here to stay.
Hello everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the heat. It seems to me this should have happened before you began implementing the entire process. That was, I was here earlier and I left, and I think it would be good to explain to us how, first of all, why those changes were made and the process that was utilized. I heard the word streamlining. That doesn't work when it comes to transportation. That works when you're trying to fix the office. And I was a county employee for years, and I can hear through your voice, we're gonna work with the community, we're gonna work with the city. It's gonna take 3 months, 6 months, 7 months. All you gotta do is revert to the old system, at least for the people who are complaining. Bus 16, 19, and 10, put it back. All you gotta do is tell Mayor Kaba, and she'll tell you. Where's the MDTA director? He can say, put those buses back. You don't need to meet with the community. All you need to hear is what you've been hearing in the last 10 minutes. Right? So, listen, you gotta do something about it, because next time around, this is gonna be a little testier than it is now.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I want to introduce our partner, Kathy Dos Santos. She's the Executive Director of the Transit Alliance. They helped us with this outreach starting back in 2018. These hundreds of meetings that we talked about, they held up and hosted. So I'd like them to talk a little bit about the process and how we got here today. Kathy?
Sure. Hi everyone. Once again, Kathy Dos Santos with Transit Alliance Miami. The process of the community engagement of how we got here today. Because the gentleman mentioned, this should have happened before it went out. And the reality is that it happened in a couple of different ways. Granted, the process started in 2018. It was multiple touch points, and when we say touch points, what I mean really is that there were many different things that we needed to talk to community members about. So the first phase was sort of hey, we're thinking, we had heard from the community that the bus system is not always working exactly how they need it to work. It's not running up to par with what folks need. So that was the first process of like, we're thinking of doing this, what do you think? Then there was these are the options of what can be done. So that's when we started explaining to people what a ridership model and a coverage model means. And that's a very in-depth conversation to have, but essentially when we're talking about these two models, is to get them, okay, this is an option. That's when we had the conversations such as, okay, we can have buses coming every 10-15 minutes. That might mean that we need to streamline some buses, meaning that you may have to walk longer to your bus destination, right? So that was a ridership model. And then there was the coverage model, which was more similar to where we were before, where you have a lot of routes that are touching a lot of places in the county, but they tend to be slower because they're doing all the loops, because they're spread out, different routes. There's less buses in each route.
Together here and really being able to dialogue through this. So I have a long laundry list, and And I'll start with the equity perspective. As I mentioned to the mayor, Black and brown communities, if the sample size was taken during the pandemic, already a lot of the community was not out taking the bus during those times. So there needs to be clarity on the fact of when was the sample size actually taken. I personally went to different libraries, trying to get outreach, went to different bus stops to get residents to come here. Even if residents to come to this meeting, what buses would they have to take in pitch black night to get here? I'm tired of driving all across town today. So when we talk about sample sizes, to Ms. Leone's point, how are we really able to get a true sample size when our communities have a different way of getting to different locations? Even getting here would be a challenge. The point about the frequency in service, since you have increased transfers, wouldn't that automatically increase ridership because people are taking multiple transfers to get to one location? So obviously, it is going to take more time, or a higher frequency, if you will, to get to one location. So there is going to be an increase in ridership. Now, let's talk about the fiscal responsibility. Most cities have already gone through their budget process. Freebie, Mr. Manager, our great manager is back there, over almost $1 million for us to have, what, 7 vehicles?
Currently we have 5 vehicles, and it's just around $600,000. DOT is giving us a grant to double the size over the next year.
So, over $1 million for 10 vehicles. The wait time is over an hour. Okay? So when you talk about cities, I want the county to put that in perspective as it relates to how our cities now, are we going to do budget transfers, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, to be able to pick up residents and they're calling and trying to get to school at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning? We need to be very practical and very intentional on these results. Trolleys as well. Most of the cities, North Miami, North Miami Beach, have just approved their transit plans. So how do we expect these residents who need to go to the hospital, to work, and so forth, to wait another 7 months? And also, a lot of these areas, as was mentioned, with lighting, safety, security, did the county even think about that? Where you're not even talking to public works at the municipal level to find out, do we have lighting in these areas? Do we have proper seating? And this resident spoke about flooding. Have we even had these dialogues with cities to ensure that we are actually looking at these points? So, these are some of the questions that I have. They might not be able to be answered tonight. When you tell a resident who's 80 years old, 7 years old, we're going to come back in 8 months. So when they have to get their prescription medication, when we talk about children who are waiting to go to school, to the teacher's point, how are we being practical for these residents? We might not have these answers tonight, but I will say, please, when you talk about the trolley and freebie, let's revisit that. These are millions of dollars that would have to be added to our budgets to be able to supplement another 20 or 30 vehicles to be able to fill in the gap that has been created.
Thank you very much, Commissioner John. It was great to meet you and speak with you at Promotion earlier this year. We appreciate your candor and feedback. We really do. Anybody who has not had a chance to ask a question, you have the wishes to ask a question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I can say that, again, from the community agency perspective, there were people who came back and said, yeah, they heard about it. But again, the clarity of it between, I heard that the changes are coming, to this change means that I'm going to have to walk 4 blocks. That's a big gap, right? And so, again, I just want to say that I want to acknowledge that Transit Alliance did, try their best to work during a pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. One of the issues, again, is inclusiveness. I think that what was lacking on their team was representation. Representation of elderly people, representation of people who are with vulnerability, language issues. We know that you have no Creole speakers on your team. And so for me, it's about expanding your perspective. You can't expect me to come and talk at my church. It's just not going to work like that. If you're going to be representative, you should have a team. You should have an advisory group. You know, this is an advisory group here. And if you had intentionally, the county, and I can just address the lines, but if the county had intentionally penetrated neighborhoods and conducted focus groups with people, you would have heard, you would have put, we're going to eliminate this route, you would have heard it. It's just that the strategy, again, has been very superficial and very, let's check the list. We did Little Haiti, we did this, we did that, we're covered. And so I think that moving forward, you need to have some kind of a advisory group that is, perhaps per area, that represent the ridership. Not me, I don't ride no bus. So I think it needs to be representative of the community. And from our perspective at Sunflower, we can find multiple folks who will be willing to serve, but they have to be asked. And so I think that the approach, you had the right intentions, but it was just, again, something that may work for another community, but does not work for ours.
Absolutely. Thank you again for those comments. I think
Thank you,
once again, we all had to learn tonight.
To the park, we got out there, we rode buses as well. There was a question about folks using transit. Our transit director is a daily transit user. He'd sit in the room.
What buses did you all ride on, and where were you located?
The ambassadors were located at 163rd Street Mall and Golden Glades. The Department of Transportation.
3 sides to 163rd Street Mall.
Both.
Yeah, it's 3 sides.
So behind the Walmart and next to it.
Yes, and back of Walmart, on the side of Walmart, and in the front of Walmart. And I catch the buses over there. I didn't see anybody. I didn't see anybody at Golden Glades. I go through Glades. So where you guys were in these turquoise shirts? I didn't see nobody.
There were ambassadors at Golden Glades from 6 to 8 a.m. or also 7 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. and 4 to 6 p.m.
Never seen none of them. None. Not nail turquoise shirt.
They stood out. They were beautiful shirts.
No, they didn't.
I was there actually on Veterans Day on Friday.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, because we had to be out every day. We worked out there.
Veterans Day I was off.
Oh. Biggest question.
Come on.
So thank you so much again, and I think a big thank you goes to the folks who actually spoke up and expressed their sentiments. And I think that no one said to you all that you did not do the outreach, but what I hear everyone say is that it was not robust. And I think we need to accept that, and we need to move forward, and we need to start determining how are we going to address these issues that are in the room. There's no need to go back and forth on the fact that you had 2 people on 163rd for 2 hours here, 2 hours there. We need to move on. What are you going to do to fix these issues? What are you going to do to engage people more around whatever other changes are going to come? And let's figure that out, making sure that they're inclusive, that they have the language capacity, that they reflect the communities, that you're actually reaching people where they're at. No one wants to invite you to their church, they don't know you. But you want to engage with the organizations that are on the ground that are doing this work, in addition to being the elected city clerk. I mean, I work for a CBO. So I know what it's like to see people coming in to get a bus pass or coming in tips for buses. The only time I've seen the turquoise shirts was at the county. That's when I knew you all had ambassadors. I never knew that. I saw one person. Never seen him at the 60-second stop by the church, Caleb Center, great transit area, never seen them there. And so, I mean, you missed the mark, it's okay. But now let's work on fixing, right, what we need to fix in here, working with municipalities to figure out how you're going to fund this, how you're going to fund it, not us, we ain't got the money. And empowering small businesses that are in transportation to help them help us make this happen for our communities.
Thank you. And I think that's a great way to sum up about moving forward. As I say, we didn't get it right here. We absolutely acknowledge that. And we want to find a solution to improve the situation. And as I said, we are going to be working with the cities and municipalities, and we're going to develop a plan with them and our collective resources. Because we also know some of the routes that we have in the cities duplicate some of our service. We know there could be some improvements there to serve the local areas much better than we do today.
PXTV Reseau, nous c'est l'espoir de la culture haïtienne. Donc on est que dans le meeting qui fait là jeudi, c'est un monde qui était accentué sur l'île, il était besoin de faire quand même. C'est commissionnaire Daniel Agent. Et dans les commissionnaires, son plaisir pour moi quand même pour moi que moi que déjà ou mettez comme son Ontario pour parler avec City, pour parler avec la communauté, pour parler avec la county. Ça dit pour aujourd'hui ça qui fait là, dans le meeting qui fait là.
Je suis très content pour cette chance-là et remercier BPX-TV pour passer nous là après-midi à Soya. Et c'est un sujet qui est très important à nous-mêmes parce que nous connaissons la transportation, c'est gens communautaires fait toute activité liée avec la transportation. Nous voyons que Miami-Dade County a décidé de changer en pile en route bus et ça devient vraiment un problème sur la communauté, sur le peuple. Et à Soya, ils sont venus pour avoir explication sur ça. Et il y a un pile de résidents qui ont complaint, ça a été ouais, il y a un pile de boss qui ont éliminé. Nous besoin de boss ça vient tourner back pour nous avoir accès à la transportation. C'est une conversation qui a continué et n'a vraiment mis pression sur le magistrat county et pour tout de suite travailler ensemble pour nous rejoindre une solution qui est plus valable pour toute la communauté.
Moi que Léonie a relaté une phrase qui était très, très forte. Dans la communauté, il n'y a pas de haïtiens qui est involvés là-dedans pour être capable de faire plus de publications de leurs activités qu'elles font. Qui sont tout ça?
C'est un bel point et c'est un point qui était nécessaire pour être fait. Je suis très content qu'il ait parlé sur ça parce que pas de aucun monde qui t'a parlé créole qui sous équipe qui t'a fait changement. Et ça il faut changer.
Et définitivement, pendant que tu as fait le changement, mais moi que écrit en créole, est-ce que son bagage est porté par nous seulement, mais même pas mettre nous involve là-dedans, la communauté haïtienne non, pas involve là-dedans. Est-ce que c'est un point que nous sommes capables de relater pour demander que n'importe ce qu'on fait pour haïtiens involve dans l'activité parce que nous aussi nombreux, nous avons 65% d'après ça qui dit dans la communauté. Est-ce vrai?
Oui, nous connaissons que Konya County, toute bagage que vous faites, vous mettez en 3 langues. En créole, en espagnol et en anglais. Nous connaissons que vous prenez des papiers. Mais ça, nous avons besoin plus que ça. Nous avons besoin pour vraiment entrer dans la communauté pour que nous connaissions exactement ce que vous faites dans la radio, dans la télévision, en créole, en anglais, pour que nous comprenions ce que vous faites là.
Si je vous remercie, madame, je connais que déjà, on ne pas très bien, mais quand même, vous avez une chance pour faire l'avoir. Merci en pile et puis keep the good work.
Thank you so much.
Comme je dis déjà, il faut que nous évoluions avec la communauté. À BPXTV Reseau, nous c'est l'espoir de la culture haïtienne, l'activité culturelle, l'activité politique, tout ça qu'on fait dans la communauté, nous supposons ensemble avec nous. Non, pas M. Janson Isviderion, votre ambassadeur de la culture haïtienne. C'est un plaisir pour nous entendre le meeting ça depuis Father Jean Juice Community Center. Studio, reprend l'antenne. À la prochaine. Enjoy.